Yeah, see if anybody comes into this bitch. Everybody. It's like this. I was so it's like this. Man, nobody want to watch me. like it like this. Leave me alone.
It's Jesse and Tati.
Here's your chance to win $1,000.
Easy money. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website.
Star941fm.com.
Move it.
That's green. GREEN. Enter it now.
Star941fm.com.
For a while there it was rough, but lately I've been doing better than the last 4 cold Decembers I recall. And I see my family every month. I found a girl my parents love. She'll come and stay the night, and I think I might have it all. And I thank God every day for the girl he sent my way. But I know the things he gives, he can take away. And I hold you every night. That's a feeling I wanna get used to. But there's no man as terrified as the man who stands to lose you. Oh, I hope I don't lose you. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God.
Oh God, this fucking song. Just fucking start punching babies. Don't speak. Oh fuck yeah!
On this we wait. I want to be with you night and day. Nothing changes on New Year's Day. On New Year's Day.
91X with you
Oh, you
too.
gonna
And
fucking
have you
cut
been
it
into a
off?
Carl Strauss location to try that Power X squared? A lot of math nerds reaching out. Look, I know the difference between, powers and multiplication. But Tower X squared's got a nice ring to it, even though it is a double IPA, right? Blink-182, 9X.
I hurried up. The choice was mine, and anything enough to request to go on. You'll be sorry when I'm gone.
Fuck, man. I can't play music on here because I'll get a copyright fucking strike, huh? Shit. That's fucking ridiculous. And there's nobody even fucking on here. Ah! I just wanted to chit chat, man. I think I got a good story, dude. Fucking 10 years on the streets of Phoenix. Fucking heroin, meth, fentanyl, coke, whatever the fuck you had. I did it. I wanted it. My thing was speedballs. First time I hit a speedball, second that shit hit my vein, it was a love affair gone wrong. I was chasing that high for years. Wound up with a DVT blood clot in my right leg that ended up going into my left lung. So I have a 6mm pulmonary embolism in my left lung. 3 millimeters bigger, I'd have been dead before I hit the floor. I got 2 DVT blood clots in my left leg. I have severe AFib from my career as a drug addict. My blood became sedimentary. So when I was on the streets of Phoenix, especially during the summertime, combining the drugs, I couldn't physically drink enough water, excuse me, to stay hydrated. And so my blood became to the point where it was even clogging intramuscular needles. Like I would throw my IV every hour. They'd have to come in there and re-stick me to the point where they had to get the biggest gauge needle they could find and put it into my neck. That was the only way we were able to keep an IV open long enough to actually get the antibiotics through. So I was there. First time I almost lost my arm, my right arm. I almost lost my left leg, but that's when they found out about all the blood clots. And so it was funny. I was actually just homeless and it's hot as hell in Phoenix, so I was trying to stay in the hospital as long as possible because I get to eat, me and my girlfriend get to sleep, and we get to get out of the heat. Well, they were trying to just discharge me, and one of the nurses, I was having a problem with my leg. My leg was cramping up, like the top and the bottom of my foot and my calf. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, like, make it stop. And they thought I was drug seeking, so they're like, well, we can't give you any, painkillers. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you give me or what you do, just make it stop. And so I was talking to the nurse, and he just started asking me some questions, and he was like, do you ever feel like you need to crack your back? Or just like, and no matter what you do, it just feels like you need to crack your back, but it'll go away eventually. And I was like, yeah, all the time. And he was like, okay. And so he thank God he listened to me. And I was a shady person trying to get longer in the hospital on the taxpayer's dime, but thank goodness he listened to me, because I was this close to death, had no idea, no clue. So I had the surgery on my leg, and I stayed in the hospital for almost a month because of all the complications, the AFib, the wound on my leg. I ended up getting a spider bite. They thought it was from using, but I didn't shoot up in my ankle, you know what I mean? Like, in between fingers, tips of fingers, soles and hands of feet, and everywhere. My neck, my chest, my varicose veins in my leg, like anywhere I could find a vein. I was so shot the fuck out. And I ended up getting out of the hospital. I was living with a family for a little bit, And then I realized I needed more help. So I went to a place in Phoenix called the Crossroads. I had been there once before and did very well. It turns out institutionalization isn't necessarily a bad thing for me, especially when I'm lost and I need guidance. So I went there the first time and did really well. Had about a year sober before my ego got the better of me. I ended up going back to the Crossroads, but by this point it was a bit of a different program. Before it was more like jail, and the only kind of recovery was the rooms, which, you know, it worked, but honestly, if you ever were in a situation where that wasn't a possibility to be in the rooms or anything like that, you were kind of left defenseless at that point because you really didn't have a lot of tools in your, you know, a lot of arrows in your quiver to build off of and do and be successful. When I went back the second time, while the rules were a bit more lax, I feel like people weren't as proud to be there because before, like, you had to work to be there. You had to lead by example to be there, and now it was just like, oh, you have insurance? Okay. However, they did teach us a lot of tools. I believe it was called Impact. And basically what I got out of it was we all devolve into certain behaviors. And what it taught me to do is it taught me to recognize these certain behaviors. And that way, when I see them, I can tell somebody and I can hold myself accountable. Or I know that, hey, this method of thinking is going to cause me hurt and pain in the long run. It may seem rational now, but it is not. And so once I was able to kind of see a method to the madness is when things really started to change for me. I ended up, I completed my 90 days there. I went back to the family I was living with my girlfriend and her mother. And I'd like to say that I wasn't using it all, but I got a job at Goodwill, and well, I was an attendant. So one of my jobs is all the garbage gets thrown into the compactor. Well, when the compactor gets full and it gets traded out, a bunch of crap gets spilt. So my job is to go over there and to pick it up and just put it back in the new one. Well, when I was trying to get off heroin, I would smoke weed, and so I had some weed in my pocket and I needed a little container. Well, I look down on the ground and there's an Altoid, like a mini Altoids tin. I pick it up and I open it up. There's a straw, a razor blade, an 8-ball of meth, or excuse me, a gram of meth, and an 8-ball of heroin, and a piece of foil. And I 100% relapsed. It was not good. I was stealing from that place. I was, just like the stuff people donate to Goodwill. It's insane. It's quite honestly some crazy good stuff. But a lot of it we can't sell. Lighters, weed, stuff that, come in. So, I would kind of help myself to it. I realized I needed to quit that job because it was becoming way too easy to get cool shit to trade to my drug dealer. So I quit. And before all that, my brother-in-law had told me about working on fishing boats, on a sport fishing boat. And so I didn't hear anything of it. He said basically, as long as you stay on the straight and narrow, I'll show you how to get a job. I'm not going to get you the job. I'll show you how to apply and how to do it. And he did put in a good word for me, but I basically took that and ran with it. Ever since I've been a little boy, I've wanted to be a professional fisherman. I have wanted that more than anything in my entire life. Water fascinates me. And so I became a chef so I started on a boat out of San Diego called the Shogun. And if you look up their name in the news media, there's a couple of interesting things that may pop up. But I left before all that went down, and I kind of noticed there was a little something funny going on. But maybe call me being naive, I don't know. But I didn't see it until it was after the fact that everything was in the news. But I ended up being so overwhelmed that I've been cooking my entire life. But when I got there, it was like newly sober, living your dream. You asked me to cook an egg, and I was just like, I couldn't even put two words together. I was just so overwhelmed. But I caught up, but it was a little too late. So what they did is because they were friends with my brother-in-law, or at least one of the captains was, he ended up trading me to another boat called the Vagabond, working for an amazing man, an amazing captain, Captain Mike Lackey. And at the time, I needed a mentor. I needed a father figure in a sense, you know. And Mike doesn't give compliments out lightly. And I worked harder for that man than I've ever worked for anybody in my entire life. I was the most proud that I've ever been in my entire life. And yeah, I went from, you know, being somebody that was unsure of himself to somebody that had skills, that could come into a galley, that could design a menu, that could execute said menu. And not only that, but I could interact with the customers, and I can interact with a homeless guy on the street. I've also owned my own business, you know, so I can also relate to, you know, higher end clientele. And when you're mingling with federal judges, guys that have made, you know, millions of dollars off software, MMA fighters, I mean, I get to meet everybody. And it's just, if you had told me 6 years ago, 5/25/24, I'll have 6 years exactly of clean and sober off of heroin and meth. And if you had told me 6.5 years ago that will have been to the Arctic Circle multiple times, that I would have been out to the Diomedes Islands, where, you know, one is ours and one is Russia's, that I will have been, you know, I will have sailed the Pacific, I would have you know, worked with scientists hand in hand, that I'd be a part of things I'd see on TV and only dream. Like, how do you get that job? Well, I got the job by cooking and by being a can-do guy. You know, my attitude, I may not have like the most impressive resume, I might not have the most impressive education, but I take pride in what I do. I feel like I'm uniquely suited for this type of work. My goal is to, in this industry, at least professionally, is to circumnavigate the globe. And I want to go to Antarctica, but not like the bullshit part of Antarctica. Like, I want to go on a real scientific expedition. I got connections down there. So that's my goal. I had an offer, but I wasn't able to make it to Auckland and get flown out to the ship before it was out of range. So bummer. But once you get it offered one time, the offer is going to be there again. You know, it's just being able to take advantage of it when it comes. So I don't think anybody's listening. I honestly don't think anybody's going to see this. I'd like to interact with people. So I cook, I'm sober. I also train dogs. A buddy of mine and me, we have a board and train business. We train and we breed champion Conicorsos. We also train champion protection dogs, working dogs, whatever your desire is with your animal, we can assist you with that. We are Evolve Canine Academy, and or Evolve All Day Training. And yeah, I gotta go run inside and run to the store real quick, but when I get back out, I'm gonna go ahead and jump back on live and see if we can't rustle us up somebody to talk to. All right, love you guys. I don't know how to fucking get out of this though.